Welcome to AFSA's Industry Icon Series. We are really lucky to be joined today by Mara McNeill, President and CEO of Toyota Financial Savings Bank. Mara, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
I'm so happy to be here, Danielle. Thank you.
Let's start out with a couple of background items. Will you tell us a little bit about how you ended up in the consumer credit industry? Your background's really interesting.
Well, when I was 11, it's all I ever wanted to do. Actually, it is an interesting background. I'd like to say that I had 3 careers so far. We'll see if that number sticks. One was with the military. One has been, I would say, legal advisory work, and now as a business executive. So it was when I was switching from military to legal that I got into advising around the financial services sector. So my clients, whether it was at law firms or whether I went to work in-house, were financial services company. And then the recession happened and there wasn't a lot of financial services deal generation going on. And so I went where the money was, which was the U.S. Treasury Department. And I thought I would be working on good bank, bad bank deals. And as soon as I got there, the chief counsel said, I would need you to work on the auto bailout. So, and I'm from Detroit. That was kind of near and dear to my heart. I really didn't want to see the whole automotive industry crater during that time. And we had kind of no idea how deep it was going to be at the time. And so I really got to be immersed in all things auto, looking at the loans we did for GM and Chrysler and their finance arms, and working through with the auto team what the path forward was going to be as we got thrown a lot of twists and turns. So with that, I ended up taking that knowledge of the auto with the financial services, and then it's kind of dovetailed into being a consumer finance.
How did you leap from legal to business? Because you do see that, but you don't see it all the time.
Well, I would say when I was at JP Morgan Chase, I was part of the executive team. And as any good in-house legal counsel knows, you have to wear both hats. And so being able to really think about things from the overall finance perspective, overall risk perspective, overall business goals is how I like to look at all problems. I just happen to bring more subject matter expertise in the legal side when I was doing that. And so when I came over to Toyota, I actually was sitting in the legal compliance executive role, and a business role opened up, and I had already been trying to practice that full service executive role, and I was asked to take that role. So it definitely was a goal of mine to be on the business side at some point in the future. I was happy with the old role, but even happier with this one.
And who outside of your family do you view as a main influence or mentor of yours?
Well, I've had people everywhere I go that I've learned from. So I never think of anybody through all these paths that has stuck with me as a mentor. But my first boss in the Air Force was kind of a dreamer on how technology could be brought into the military faster. And so working with him on how things worked and how we wanted things to work was a very engaging process to me. My first boss in a law firm similarly had years and years and years of practice doing international finance work. And so he just kind of poured that knowledge into me, and I try to be a learner. That's one of my strengths, is being a learner wherever I go. And then, more recently, thinking about business executives. One of them that comes to mind is Cheryl Bachelder, who's the head of Popeye's CEO. And, just kind of the way she takes she did that servant leadership and, really brought a lot of perspective of how to bring people along and think a lot about the professional development and pouring into people. So that's something that I take very serious where I am now.
Is there a single best piece of career advice that you've received?
Well, I've always been receptive of the idea that whatever you do when you look back, you would look back and regret the choices or risks you didn't take as much as the ones you did and didn't do perfect at. So I think I've seen, my dad was an entrepreneur and had his own business. I've seen the benefit of being able to step out and do something that people wouldn't have necessarily thought what should have been your next step, given where you are, but was a next step that would help you grow the most. And I think if you look at your career from that perspective, it's really, really valuable.
And is there any advice now, speaking of advice, is there any advice that you would give to your 22-year-old self?
I had gone to a conference last year and I heard something that really, really resonated. Now, I don't think it's going to resonate with any 22-year-olds I know. It makes so much sense, which is get secure sooner. I mean, if you think of all the things that hold you back, as many of them are coming from yourself of being insecure.
I see.
To seek approval, to need to seek this. And so I think for myself, it wasn't until later in my career that I could really see. I mean, for me, getting secure means knowing, I'll just say my own. Yours can be something else. I'm a child of God. I'm loved. I'm equipped where I am to do what I need to do. And coming from that type of place makes you much less likely to bring, destructive competitive instincts where you feel like you're vying up against people and other things that I might not have handled perfectly at the beginning, the first half of my career.
That's a really good point. That is, it does, your experience sort of affects how you have your future interactions. And that can be great. And it can put you down the wrong path as well. That's great advice. So looking into your crystal ball, how do you predict, we won't hold you to this, Mara, but how do you predict the consumer credit industry will change in the next 5 to 10 years? If you were going to bet on it, what would you bet?
Well, I would say the easier bet is that the people who are working on it at financial companies and dealerships and wherever are going to increasingly look a little bit more like the customer demographic in terms of diversity and bringing a lot of different perspectives into the career. One of them that might come from me being more of a believer is that just consumers will continue to get more and more educated. Hopefully it's because we're putting tools out there that help them to manage their financial decisions in a safe and sustainable manner. The things that go out there that cause consumers to maximize monthly payments all over the place with no regard to term and don't allow you to see things with transparency. I mean, I know, our industry and all the folks who are in it are really doing things to try to put more of those tools in the hands of the consumers. But I just would love to believe that people are going to use that more, and that'll help them to have a more sustainable purchasing power and presence for their choices versus, some of the things we see in the cycles.
Well, that is fascinating. Mara, this was so interesting. Thank you so much for your time. We really, really appreciate it. And to all of our listeners, we remind you to subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much, Mara.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to AFSA's Industry Icon series. We appreciate you being here. Subscribe to AFSA's Extra Credit Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.